Welcome to Teen Talk. Today we have a very different configuration on the set. You are actually going to be seeing two people sign, as in make signs that people who are deaf or hearing impaired can interpret so they can communicate with us. I'll explain in just a minute why that is the case, but first I'm going to ask our signers to say in sign language, welcome to Teen Talk. Who wants to do it first? Anne-Marie, you want to do that? Say, oh, you just did that.
Yes.
Now do it again for me. You did it for everybody else. Do it for me.
Welcome to
Okay.
Teen Talk.
You do it as well, will you? And actually, maybe I'll just adopt that in the future. It's almost. Well, we'll make it parallel. Now, I'm going to ask Michelle to tell me and tell, well, everybody here knows why, but tell our audience why we're here and why these people are signing and why we have some people on the set who are unable to hear but who are very much able to communicate.
Well, Steve, we are here representing the South Plantation High School Theater Program, and all of the students that are here with us are students in that program. Some of them are deaf or hard of hearing students, and because we work with them, we have our educational interpreters here with us as well. And together, this group, as well as another 40 or so students, and our director of the show, West Side Story, Mr. Zembuck right here, we just finished a production of West Side Story, which incorporated not only American Sign Language into all facets of the show, but also incorporated a lot of deaf culture into the show by having deaf and hard of hearing characters as well as actors in the production.
It's hard enough to get people to act and to get an audience to understand what they're saying. These challenges, Jason, you're the director of this show, West Side Story.
That's correct.
So give me some of the challenges, some of the background to this, because there may be some people out there who are saying, you know, it's hard enough to get actors to remember their lines and to know when to come in, you know, to share them. How do you do that with people who are deaf?
Well, it's not so much as just with how do you do that with people that are deaf, but American Sign Language is a physical form of expression. It is an expressive language in which you're using your hands and your arms and your facial expressions in order to communicate. That's what acting is. So it goes hand in hand with the acting process naturally. What I found, because I've been at South now for 5 years, and the DHH program at South has been in existence for over 30.
What does that mean? Did you say D?
Deaf and hard of hearing program.
All right.
South Plantation's the only high school that offers programming to the deaf and hard of hearing in the Broward County Public School System.
Okay.
But when I started working with hearing actors more, and incorporating the use of American Sign Language with hearing actors, because I had a lot of reluctance from the deaf students at the school in order to get involved in the shows, I noticed that as actors, it was something that brought something new to the table for them.
Like what? What does it bring?
Well, you had mentioned earlier about how it's hard enough to get actors to memorize their lines and to perform and use their expressions and to memorize lines. When you layer American Sign Language on that, it actually, in the years that I've been using it, I've found it to be a phenomenal teaching tool for my hearing actors in order to be more expressive. The challenges that I think that we're faced with in terms of how do you work with deaf actors is that you simply just have to make modifications. A hearing actor on stage can, or a hearing actor off stage can listen for a cue line on stage, and that's when they know to come out, or something like that. And so when you have a deaf actor that is part of a cast, you figure out how do you build in visual cues for them. An example, one of the students that we have with us here today has been our follow spot operator for the last 2 years. He's fully deaf. He operates the follow spot.
What's a follow spot?
It's the light that you
Oh,
move
okay.
Spotlight.
in order to spotlight the different actors on the show.
I may from time to time ask you for definitions of things that come naturally to you and are
Not a
completely that I don't understand, and I assume our viewers don't either.
Yeah.
So he follows.
Correct. So we would build in, because a traditional follow spot cue might be something that's based on a line or based on the start of music or something like that. So instead of that directorially, what we do is we simply make modifications so that it's a visual cue, so that the follow spot operator or that the other actor off stage waiting for their entrance are cued by what's going on stage, or we have hearing actors backstage working with the deaf actors and tapping them and cueing them to go on the stage. And it's
Is there anything that you can't do having this kind of production? Is there anything where you seem to have accommodated, you know, and in some cases, my other question is there anything you can't do, and is there anything you do better because you have this kind of challenge, kind of leapfrogging into both worlds? Does it bring something out in a performance? Is this a unique kind of performance? Will people get something special in your mind?
There are so many different questions in there.
Good. Answer as many as you choose.
I don't think there's anything we can't do in the theater. I think it's all in how you creatively make that work. Is this a unique opportunity and experience? I think it is for the actors, for the entire production team, and for the audience. I think you have audience that come to the show that don't know what to expect, and then are blown away by the fact,
Really?
not that, I think not that, ooh, there are deaf people on stage, but this is a beautiful story, and it works regardless of whether or not the people on stage are hearing or not. It has to do with how they work together as a team.
Super. Good. Well, now we're going to find out about that team. So you're going to talk with the loyalist over here because he's the only one who wore the West Side Story shirt. You get to go first, right? Here we go. It says, and what does it say underneath? Okay, this is
West Side
South
Story.
Plantation High School presents West Side Story. What does it say?
In a world where deaf and hard of hearing collide.
Good.
And hard of hearing cultures collide.
Good. So you collided.
Yes.
Okay. So now, who did you play in West Side Story?
I played Bernardo.
And who is Bernardo?
Bernardo is Maria's brother. He's very protective over her, and the fact that she's deaf and he's deaf himself makes him even more protective over her.
One thing I should have done before I even went to, you said Bernardo again?
Yes.
Okay. Before I went to Bernardo, in like 3 or 4 sentences, I don't want to assume that everybody knows West Side Story. So just either one or both of you, just give us a little background so we all know we're on the same page, that we're all talking about something everybody understands. We know some of the music that's very famous, so give us a little background.
Okay. West Side Story, the traditional staging of West Side Story, is a musical in which it explores the cultural differences between Puerto Ricans and Americans, and the cultural clashes that we have between the two, and the rivalries that have occurred between these two. It parallels the story of Romeo and Juliet. Our production of West Side Story layers on top of that an exploration of not only what do you have when you explore Puerto Ricans and Americans, but layer on top of that the deaf and the hearing. Through the audition process, we had one girl that, a number of kids that were deaf that got involved in the show, and that's why we adapted it into.
I see. So you're even telling a more enhanced story
Correct.
Right.
of cultures where the cultures collide. I get
Correct.
it. Okay, back to you. All right, so now tell me what it's like to be your part and to be your part in this play. You're
it's
playing somebody deaf.
Yes, I am, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was one of my favorite roles to ever play because I love physicalizing what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Bernardo does. Deaf Bernardo he does everything with his physicalness because he doesn't talk. So it was a lot of fun for me. I thought it
Because
was
you don't like
amazing.
to talk usually?
I love to talk. I love to talk. I talk a lot.
Yeah, somehow I got that.
No.
Somehow I sensed that. So what do you have to, so show me how you communicated in this. Tell me, I mean, how do you, a hearing person, communicate in this play if you can't talk? Did you have to sign?
I would sign, yes.
All
And
right.
and Chino, which is Bernardo's best friend, would voice Bernardo's lines and interpret for me. He would sign to me what people were saying, and he would voice what I was saying to
I
others.
got it. Okay. So you had a personal interpreter.
I had a
You did,
personal
okay,
interpreter,
okay.
yes.
Much like what's going on here as we're even doing this, because this is happening now. Gloria, a lot of this something's whizzing around here, I got to tell you, because we're almost doing the same thing. Now, you over there, who are you?
I played Tony in the show, and Tony, he's a guy who used to be a part of the American gang who was called the Jets, and he left the Jets to become because he wanted to give something else to his life. He wanted to become something better than
Than a jet.
just a hoodlum or
Just
a gang member.
a disenfranchised hoodlum. So you didn't want to be a hoodlum anymore?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. What did he become?
Well,
A lawyer.
no, he
No,
actually,
sorry to offend the lawyers. No, that's okay. Go ahead.
he actually works at a guy named Doc's shop, and that's like his job. He goes in and he helps out Doc, and Doc acts like his father figure, and helps him along. And he still is friends with people on the Jets. His best friend Riff is the leader of the Jets, and in the scene, Riff makes him go to a dance. And he convinces him to go to a dance, and that's where Tony, my character, meets Maria, and that's when
I
everything.
got it. And then you fall in love, right?
Yes.
Now, do you have to sing?
Yes,
You
I
have
did
to sing like Maria, right? That's you mean that very famous song?
Yeah,
you
I
sing?
did have to sing
Oh,
Maria.
okay, very good. So that's that very famous song, Maria, Maria.
Yeah.
We can't do this for all kinds of things, but we all know what it is. Good. Okay. Very good. We have all kinds of reasons why we can't sing this song, but okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Very good. So you intend to be? Are you both intend to be actors at some point or not?
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Both going on. Okay. Well, we'll
Hopefully.
get more into that as well. What did doing this? Now you're playing a person who hears, and you're playing a person who communicates verbally in the show. What you've done other shows, I take it.
Yes.
What does working in this environment as an actor do for you?
Since I had to communicate with Maria somehow, and Maria being deaf herself in the show, I had to learn sign language to play the part. And I think that the sign language in this show helped me to, like he said, to physicalize my part and to bring more physical aspects to his part. And it helped me with the expressions and the emotions, because a lot of the sign language is like just expressing an emotion with your hands. So it was a tough task at first, but it worked out in the end, and it was really cool.
But you have to really do sign language. I mean, you can't just pretend.
Right.
This is real sign language. You can't just move your hands and make it look like this.
Right, but
this
I mean,
this is not just gesticulation. This is sign language, right?
And it was also harder because in the fact that besides just singing a song for a normal audience, I also had to sign the song as well. So on top of learning the sign language and the song, I had to make it look like my hands were singing along with me. I mean, the deaf audience had to understand what I
Sure.
was singing and stuff. So
Because they're in the audience, there are people who are often.
Yes.
I guess it's probably for those who are of all ages in this community who are deaf or hearing impaired. The fact that you're putting this on is really like an oasis in things. I can't imagine what it's like not to be able to participate otherwise. Now, how do you sign and sing the name Maria?
well, there were two ways that we did it. You have her sign name, which we established
Okay.
after you spell it. And the finger spelling of Maria would just
Can
be...
you do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's show his
would
hand.
just-
Good. Pick up your
and-
hand so we can see it.
Right
Okay,
here.
go ahead.
An M, an A, R, I, A.
You didn't do that all right? You got it
better
right?
not get it wrong.
All right. Very good. Let's do that again, boy. Give him. Did you get an A for that?
Oh, A plus.
Good. Okay. Let's see it again, Maria. Go ahead.
M, A, R, I, A.
Good.
And then her sign name would have just been an M down like this. And that's what I used for most of the singing.
So you're going.
Yeah, well, an M, and then you just bring it down.
Give me an M again. Let's see. Oh, the M.
M, and then just
So like this.
motion towards you.
Wow. Okay. So then you're going Maria, and then you're going like this. How do you put the two together? Let's see it.
Maria.
Oh, very good. Okay, that's nice. Okay, it's like, I put a little something to that. It's really very good. Okay, so let's go on to the next. Now the next person is actually deaf. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and so I want to ask him his role in this play, and what he got out of it.
Really, I'm involved backstage. I'm in the crew. I do the light, the spotlight. That's what I do. That's my favorite role.
My sense is that when he said he's backstage, it is that's a very important role because there are challenges in following the people. He's what did you call it?
He was our spotlight operator.
Spotlight
correct.
operator. That's a challenging job, right? Yeah. And has he done it for how long?
That's right.
How long?
I started in middle school. Last year I did it here for the play Damn Yankees. I was also the follow spot for that. So that's been my job for 2 shows so far.
Are there any actors who are easier to follow than others, or do some of these people make life difficult?
Really, it's easy for me because I look at what they're doing. Like, for example, I notice somebody put their hand on somebody's shoulder. That's when I start the lighting. So I know when that person's going to move, so then I can follow them. I follow the cues.
Are all these cues written out so that there's something, or you just have to get used to working with people kind of on the fly?
I memorize both. It's written, but I also memorize it. I put it in a book in case I need help later.
Super. Wonderful. Well, I guess the thing is that without you, there wouldn't be a show because everybody would be in the dark. Is that right?
I think that's
Yeah, I
true.
think that's- I think
Because it happened a couple of times and it sure didn't look good.
Very good. So I guess you know how to appreciate somebody when the lights go out. That's it. Same thing would happen here if the lights didn't go on. We would all simply be in the dark. So we have to know everybody. I guess I sense that you learn that everybody's important in the theater, right? Everybody plays their part.
Absolutely.
That's it. Yep. Very good.
That's correct.
Our next, what do I call you? You're an actress, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Very well. You're going to be signed, but you're also going to speak, correct? So, so do both, okay? Will you do both for us?
Yes.
Tell us about your role and who you are.
Ironically, I was an interpreter in the show.
Okay. You were ironically an interpreter.
Yeah.
Okay, because you are
Hard of hearing.
hard of hearing, and also, so okay, so do this while you do it at the same time. Can you do
Okay.
that? Can you actually talk and do it, for me at the same time?
Yes, I can.
Good, I want to see that, because that brings both together. You know that we get it. Good. Now, what was you were just in the show as an interpreter?
Yes.
And so you were actually there, or is there a role for an interpreter in the show as written, or not?
Well, I'm not a character. I'm not part
Okay.
of the original story of West Side Story, but I was integrated into the show because the Jets could not sign. Only the Sharks could sign.
Okay.
So the American actors and the characters in the show, they didn't sign. So that's where me and 6 other girls came in.
Wow, that's a tall order.
Yeah.
Wow, got a lot. This thing is operating on many different levels, isn't it? Okay, now our next actress played the role of what? What was your role?
I was one of the Shark Girls, and also I was the understudy for Maria.
So you were a hoodlum.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. How do you say? How do you sign the word hoodlum? What's the sign word for hoodlum?
It would be this,
Really?
which
What's
is actually a gang member.
Gang. Excuse me. I didn't mean to downgrade the notion of being a hoodlum. It was. I wanted to. So a gang member is that higher than a hoodlum? Maybe. Okay. And our next actress is.
I was the deaf Maria.
Oh yes, and I got that. I actually saw that. Thank you for that tip. It was- because as soon as you did, you went and then you went down like that.
No,
and
I
saw
said
that.
deaf Maria.
I can sign. Look, after 20 minutes of this show, I'm already reading sign language. I hope our viewers got that, of the link between the two. So she was your girlfriend.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Very well. And you?
I'm the voice of Maria.
You're the voice of Maria. Okay. So that was the second one you had to fall in love with, right?
Well,
No, not really. You fall in love with her.
yes.
And okay, very well. So tell me what it's like to be in this production, because what do you have to do? You walk around behind her? How does this work?
Well, I exist as a facet of her mind almost. I'm a part of her. I am Maria, but I'm the Maria that you can't see. I'm her inner emotions. I'm everything that she's feeling on the inside, and I coexist with her, but only she can see me. She can communicate with me because I am her, but like Tony can't see me. So Tony's in love with me because we are Maria, but he's not in love with me. He's in love with her.
Now, where on the stage are you? Are you behind a screen?
I'm anywhere I want to be because
Because you're just this free spirit.
well, honestly, like if Maria's having a scene with Tony, I'm maybe like if they're on the balcony, I'm watching them. Like I'm not there intruding on their love time, but I'm watching, and giving them their space. But I'm still
You're watching,
there.
huh? You're a voyeur in this situation, and it's the alter ego. Now, and you are actually speaking her
Yes.
lines.
I'm technically Maria's voice interpreter.
So you're hearing her,
Yes.
I
well,
got it. but you're also signing.
well, technically in the show, I'm looking at her and I learned sign language to communicate with her. So I'm technically I'm just reading what she says with her sign language. You can just hear her for the audience
I
to
see.
yeah.
Okay, I see. Wow. Okay. Now, take me back to. Let's go to choosing this to begin with. This is what kinds of. Is there? How many shows a year do you put on?
3, 4. I think we're at 4 this year.
4. Wow.
Depending, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the year. It depends on our whim.
We
Four
do 2 real main stage productions, which are open to the entire campus and the entire student body to get involved in. And then between Michelle and I, we do a whole bunch of other stuff with that. So we
And is
do-
it always hearing impaired and non-hearing impaired or deaf? Is it always a mixture?
I would say the productions are not always in the style of theater for the deaf, but our program it has deaf and hard of hearing students intermingled in the program. So whether the show is in the style for theater for the deaf or not, we're certainly always working with DHH students.
What does that mean, style? Is there a specific kind of format that you follow in order to put on a, it sounds as though it has to be like almost an accredited production. Is that similar or what?
Do you want to take
Yeah,
that
I'll
and
take
talk a little
that.
bit about
Okay.
Deaf West?
So, when somebody generally refers to a production having been directed in the style of theater for the deaf, really what the focus is that everything that takes place on the stage, if there are deaf audience members throughout the house, they should be able to follow the action and understand what's being said. A traditional play that is not directed in the style of theater for the deaf, a person who is deaf usually has to come and they have to sit in the deaf section. And the deaf audience members are stuck watching an interpreter or interpreters interpreting a show. So that deaf section might be house left, and so what they have to do is look straight ahead the entire time while 2 interpreters are interpreting everything that's going on over here. So if I'm deaf and I'm watching 2 interpreters, I'm not following anything that happens on the stage because I would not hear anything per se if I were looking over on the stage. So when you direct a production in the style of theater for the deaf, you eliminate the need for interpreters in that traditional kind of a way.
So you're creating a holistic experience where
Correct.
the actual production crosses over any kinds of barriers.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of putting you on the spot. Do you remember your lines?
Yeah.
You do? Now, what I'm wondering is, could we recreate something? If they speak, would we be violating any things? Or if he talks to her briefly and she speaks, could we recreate the way in which you actually interacted? For example, you don't say Romeo, Romeo, wherefore? art
the
thou-"
balcony
The
scene.
scene. Could we have a little bit of that? Would they be able to do that so we somehow were able to see how she operated interpreting the 2 of you? Could you do that? Would that
Yeah,
be
just
possible?
Sure.
Take it from the Maria and go all the way up to
There
where
it
you
is.
would
You
start
can't-
only
can't-
you.
Yeah. We can't. Well,
But we don't
But from your chairs.
sing.
But from your chairs. No, we don't have
No,
a balcony.
don't go
and we
into
can't
the
move.
only you. Just stop
Only
it right
can't- no,
there.
no, just stay where you are. And just. But what I'm trying to get at is, it was like, him to her with you, and I want to see the way the hands move and the voice comes in and everything. Okay, can you do it?
Maria? Shh. Maria,
Quiet.
come down.
No.
Maria.
Please, if Bernardo.
Oh, he's at the dance. Come down.
He will soon bring Anita home.
For a minute?
A minute is not enough.
Well, then how about an hour?
I cannot.
Forever. Shh. Then I'm coming up.
Momentito, Mama.
Maria?
Shh, it is dangerous.
But I'm not one of them.
You are, but to me you are not, just as I am one of them.
To me? To me, you're all the one. Shh.
See, ya vengo, Papa.
Maruka?
His pet name for me.
I like him. He will like me.
No, he is like Bernardo afraid. Imagine being afraid of you.
You see?
I see you.
See only me.
Very good. Very good. Is that how you? Oh, that's the applause, huh?
Right.
Wow, that was great. Really, really. Now, that's an extra added thing you have to learn, all of this. And it really moved very quickly. I mean, this was really very, very fast, and you get into this kind of rhythm with it that's really quite extraordinary. Now let's go back to rehearsing, because there's a lot of productions in the course. Do you do any other kind of work in school, or is it all?
The parents are watching this show. Answer.
Oh yes, it's all this stuff. Yes. Everybody does a
You
lot.
can say that out loud.
All of us focus heavily on our academics as well as our after-school activities.
Very well. Speaking to the microphone again, so everybody. Oh, yes. Everybody. But how much time does it take to do all of this?
Oh my God.
Okay, if you chose this performance. Okay, so everybody, and I assume that the two of you get together and you choose it, or is this a group effort?
It is the two of us
Correct.
decision.
And then you deliver the goods to the actors.
Yes.
And then they all say, "Oh, please give me a major role because I'm so good." And then how long does it take to rehearse? Weeks, number of hours a day, and all this kind of stuff.
I think standard for a musical, we usually block about 10 weeks of rehearsal. For a straight play, it would be more like 8 weeks. And then within that, they are working, most of the time, they're working Monday through Friday, 3 hours a day, then coming in on Saturdays for long days. And then as we get closer to the production, those 3 to 6 afternoons become more like 3 to 8 afternoons because the show is right around the corner. But with that, then we're of course very cognizant of their studies, and so we try to incorporate a study hour into the rehearsal process, try to partner the kids up where they need help with certain things in school, because this program is incredibly important to all of them, and they're very dedicated students, so they're always there working on the show, making sure every little detail gets taken care of.
Are there people who are involved in the show who are not here? Do we have just
Oh, yes.
About 52 more
Really?
actors as
Yeah.
well as.
really? Oh, because you have the gangs and everything. We have all the leads right here. Who do we have? What does this
Not
represent?
necessarily.
No.
We have kind of a sampling
cross-section,
of students from across the board.
So there's a whole gang, right? And now how many in the show were actually deaf or hearing impaired, and how many not? Of that, say, must have been close to a total of 60 or so, 50 or 60?
5?
Yeah.
I think we had 5 students in the show, all told, that were deaf or hard of hearing.
Okay, very good. Now, let's go to our interpreters for a moment. Are they involved in the rehearsals at all, or just, really?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Anytime a deaf student is involved in something, there will be an interpreter involved as well.
Wow.
So there were 5 deaf and hard of hearing students. So there were 4, sometimes 5 interpreters involved.
Wow, so it's one-on-one?
No,
Okay.
we took turns
I got
because
it.
of the amount of hours
Wow.
involved. So no, just lots of times it's 1-on-5.
Now, 1-on-5. Now, you told me before we started you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yes.
How did you get involved?
Oh, that's a long story.
Well, we have
No.
some time. But we don't, I would say it's compressed.
Yeah, okay, Reader's Digest edition. I went to Washington, D.C. when I was 18, and I met deaf people for the first time. Fell in love with the language, came home, got married, had kids, blah, blah, blah. Went to school for sign language, found out I could do it as a job, which was really cool, and that's how I got started.
When you say, let's also explain to people, because we've been watching signing, okay? You just referred to it, and before we went on the air, you had referred to it as ASL, and I asked for the American Sign Language.
Correct.
We're talking here about a language, an
Yes.
actual language,
Yes.
not just moving hands and
Right.
things. Take us through what we can briefly begin to understand here, because when I first spoke with you, said, is this like shorthand? You said, no, not quite. Tell me how you do it. Show me what you do, and give us some words and some sentences and things that we
Okay,
would be able to take
it's-
apart.
I'll put it this way. It's a conceptual language, which means that it's not the English word that has a sign, it's the concept. For example, the word run. In English, we say you can run in a race, you can run for president,
Wait a minute, so running for president is like
run
this?
for president,
Okay.
the motor can run, your
Wow.
nose can run,
Wow.
you can have a run in your stocking, water runs, so
So water
It's-
is coming from the...
water.
water is the W.
W, water. So.
How do I get from the three things there to the, is it because it's near my mouth?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just water. That's the sign.
So that's the sign, but
It's a W, and this is water.
why isn't this W wind? What would,
This is wind.
oh, I got it.
It's the same as English. Why do we call this a chair? Somewhere
I don't
along the
know. I'll
line,
have to ask
somebody
anybody
thought.
know why we call it a
was-
chair?
Somebody thought, oh, we'll call it a chair. So somewhere, some deaf person said, oh, wind.
I got it. So it goes wind. I got it. So it's like, are there times when people are moving their hands and they're actually, by default, they're actually doing
yeah.
doing sign language without realizing it?
Of course.
What things do we commonly do that are signs that are kind of in our natural vocabulary? I mean, there are things like,
Okay, book. You'll see people do that all the
Oh,
time,
okay.
book. To drive.
okay, so people are going, okay. And those translate.
drink.
Those translate into it.
Oh, sure, or food.
Yeah.
Drink, food.
I can think of a sign I've used on the highway a few times. but this,
Well, we also have those kind of
The
signs in
signs-
sign language, yes.
Very good. So it goes all over. Well,
Oh,
really.
yeah.
Now, how hard is it to learn?
Depends on the individual. Some people who are good with languages can learn very quickly, and people who aren't can't. And I've noticed that young people can learn very quickly.
How do you do that? How do you learn it? How did they learn it? Do you have to sit with them and say,
I've spent a lot of time
Time
with these
teaching
people,
them.
yes. And no, see, it's interesting because the first time that I worked with Jason and Michelle, well, actually, it was just Jason at the time. It was Peter Pan, and we tried teaching sign language to them, and that didn't work. So the second time, which was High School Musical, we said, okay, when you're singing this, this is how you move your hands, and that worked much better. But they themselves, in the process of hanging out with the deaf students and the hard of hearing students and going through the play, have learned to sign from each other and from what they learned from me.
but when they're handed a script, the script of West Side Story, in the tradition of the American Theater for the Deaf, is that correct? Or the what was it called?
Theater for the Deaf.
Theater for the Deaf, okay. You're handed this, and now for the first time, you're not just getting a script, you're also having to add the sign language and these other dimensions. What does that script look like, and how do you go about taking it apart and putting it together?
It's
Oh, did you say something? I'll start with an actor. Go ahead.
Well, like what I had to do was, Helene over there and I, we would spend a lot of time one-on-one learning my lines, and what we would do is, or what I would do is, you take a pencil, and when she's giving you the sign, she'll show you the sign and say what it stands for. And you'd write next to the word that you're trying to say, you'd write what it stands for, and then if it's like a little motion like, I'm trying to think, I'm coming up. When I would say I'm coming up, it was just a D and then up.
Wow, all
and
this
then,
stuff.
And you'd write a D pointing up.
Oh, I see. Coming up.
So your script was filled with your pencil
Well,
writing.
in actuality, he wrote D coming up because
that-
that's how he
He
could
remembers
remember
it.
it.
Okay.
But in actuality, what you would say if you were speaking using correct terminology, that's a classifier for a person moving into the direction that they would be going to.
Wow.
So, yeah.
This is, well, it's, it's a whole, as I'm listening to this, it's like, well, most I've ever been able to do is like, hi. I gave you a hi before. When I came in, I gave him a hi. But it's really a whole,
It's a whole language.
a whole different language. You're actually learning two languages. I mean, you're learning a script, and you're really doing it's as though you were doing it in a second language, right? How is it hard for you had to play a deaf student,
Yes.
so you had to sign, right?
Yes, all my lines were signed.
Really?
I-
Now, all right, well, do this. You knew the lines anyway. All right, so give me, did you have a,
I
you
did
have any?
not remember my voice lines. I only memorized my sign language lines.
Well, that's kind of, wow, that's really, woo. So you don't, woo. So give us something. Let's see who's going to interpret it. Did you all know what he's saying?
I will.
Sometimes in the word.
Okay, well, let's see just how good you are here. What was your name again? Bernardo, right?
Bernardo was
Okay,
my name.
okay, Bernardo. Let's go. Give us some. Did you have a famous line or anything here?
I didn't have a famous line.
But you have famous. Was there something particularly memorable about your section or anything like that?
I
Tell 'em
can-
about that they don't know anything about America.
What was
Oh. Oh, okay, so.
it? Yeah, don't give it away. Let's go.
So,
Let's hear.
what was it?
Curtain going
Put him
up.
on the
Oh.
spot.
They don't understand.
No, sorry, let me start again.
Go ahead. You have to do your.
They don't understand America any better than she does.
Give it to me again. I missed it because I was looking the other way.
They don't understand America any better than she does.
Wow. Now take that apart for me. How many?
Okay.
Okay. Take
Sign it
each
slowly.
part slowly, and as you're doing it, show me how the parts are coming out. So go ahead.
America,
So that's so America.
They-
This is America. America. Go ahead.
they don't understand, just like her.
Wow. Phew. I would never have gotten that. Thank you for being here. Whew. That would be. Wow. Okay, so you get all this rehearsal. Now, I know this looks like a pretty good group, but what are the challenges of shaping this group up to the other 50 or so that you have?
I think Jason and I have a very strong program that has a discipline to it. So getting the students in shape, I think, isn't really a problem. They know what they're getting into when they sign up. They sign a contract knowing what they're getting into.
What does the contract say?
A multitude of things.
What doesn't it say?
Yeah.
What does that say?
Really,
What?
I think that the whole point behind the entire reason why we do this is in the theater program, it's something that's quite unlike many other things. I think that oftentimes it can be likened to a sports program, like a football team. You're going to have these young men and women that when you raise the bar high enough, they understand that not only do you have enough faith in them to actually reach it, but that you're not going to settle for less. And we don't settle for less. People who enter into the theater program at our school have to respect the process, respect the craft, respect us, and
Respect
more
each other.
importantly, respect each other and respect themselves. We don't ever have to deal with the whole flack behind anything. It's not a class. What Wes, like I said when we were talking before about our program, we do 2 main stage productions a year. I directed West Side. Turl is in the middle of directing The Boys Next Door right now. And those 2 main stage productions are completely 100% extracurricular. So if they don't like the way that we run the program, if they aren't willing to do the work, then they just don't get involved.
Does anybody get fired?
Yes.
A lot.
Really?
Oh yes. because part of what we are teaching them is how to be adults in this world and how to work together as a team, how to be leaders of their peers, and if you don't come to the table and do your work and do your share, you get fired. And
Was
often,
anybody fired from West Side Story?
Yes.
Whoa.
A couple.
Tough,
You know,
huh?
it happens.
Toughies, huh? They're
But
tough.
I think that I have found over the years, when that happens, most of the time, those students turn themselves around.
And they probably knew what was
Right.
going to happen anyway, huh? They're testing limits and they're waiting to see
Right.
what they're going to get.
And well, it's just like parenting.
Yeah.
If you set a bunch of rules
Yeah.
and then there are no consequences when they break the rules, well, they'll just keep breaking the rules. So we have really high expectations of them. But I don't think we've ever been disappointed because if they're not making it, they're fired.
Sure.
And everybody that's still there has an amazing product
You
every
fire them.
time.
You fire them verbally or in sign language or in both.
I think that depends on who you're talking to.
Exactly.
Very good. I want to talk to Maria. I want to talk to the real Maria, not the shadow Maria. What was it like to be Maria? For you to be? Have you been in other performances in the theater program?
Yes, a few, but before I was in Peter Pan and I was in High School Musical and various other shows.
And Maria is the lead, the female lead, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, listen, that's what it is, right? Yeah. So what was it like to play Maria? Does it take special anything?
I felt, I don't know how to really say it, how I felt. I felt connected with Maria because I think the two of us are similar, or have similarities.
What were some of the similarities? She sings I Feel Pretty, doesn't she? Who sang I Feel Pretty?
Kelly did.
I did.
Kelly did. Okay, very well.
Yeah, some of the similarities would be, for example, I think that she and I are both shy, and the two of us had to learn. I'm not sure how to explain this exactly. We learned how to show our emotions, how to express ourselves.
How old were you when you learned to sign?
I was 2.
2. Okay. 2 years old. At 2 years old? Wow. Was it
Yeah,
hard?
2.
Was it hard?
No. I was a baby. I didn't know any better. My parents, you know how parents teach you how to talk? I was taught how to sign.
How to sign, okay.
Yeah, it was easy.
And parents, your whole family, your brothers and sisters, your whole family knows how to sign? Everybody knows how to sign?
My brother and sister, yes, but my parents, no.
So the parents don't know how to sign?
They know a little bit of sign language, but they forget quite a bit. My brother and sister and I, we talk and we get silly and we talk to each other. I've taught them a lot of signs.
So how do you, so it must be good as children because you can do all kinds of things that your parents don't know about.
Well, I feel guilty now. I'm sorry, I missed that. My mom, she knows some sign language, but she's very like, she knows what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
She knows what I'm talking about sometimes because sometimes the concepts are clear.
Mm-hmm. How do you communicate with your parents if they don't sign?
I can talk to them,
Oh, okay. So you can actually speak.
yes.
Okay, all right. But you choose not to.
Right.
Okay.
Because I believe that I want to show deaf culture because it's not deaf culture for me to speak. I like signing much better than speaking.
Can you read lips?
Yes, pretty well.
Very well. Now I want to talk to the gang member. Signed up at the gang member here. Tell me what it's like to be, have you been in other plays besides this one?
Yeah, this is the first one that I really started acting. I was in Comedy of Errors, which was Shakespeare, but I got fired, so I decided to come
fired?
back. And I love the theater.
Why were you fired? Why were you fired?
Because I didn't show up for rehearsal. I was a freshman. I was kind of foolish. I was immature. That's why I got fired. So when I decided to come back, I learned a great deal, and I really love the theater now.
So you can get a second chance. You can be redeemed.
Always.
Of
You can come
course.
back. So you can get kicked out, and you can get
You can
back.
learn your lesson and come
You
back.
can learn your lesson and come back. Oh, please let me back. I hated Shakespeare, but I love West Side Story. Right? So what's it like? What do you have to do to be a gang member? Is there something from your gang, from your script that you want to share with us in the signs? Want to speak to us through that? Is there anybody, you can interpret it, okay? Give us a little of your script, okay?
Well, when Bernardo and Anita are dancing, it's like a challenge dance. The two of them are dancing. I'm standing there and I'm telling them, come on, go, go, don't be afraid, go ahead and try it. So, and I also had to learn how to dance. And also during some of the fight scene when the girls are singing, during the dream sequence, I was signing, kill him, go ahead, kill him.
Wow, kill him, is that what you said? Show me that. Sign for kill him, kill him. Let me
Kill him.
Whoa, that'll do it. How were you able to dance if you couldn't hear the music?
I use my eyes, and I learned through copying. That's how I learned how to dance.
Uh-huh. And do you hear?
And I feel it too. Also, I can't really understand. It's a little bit difficult for me.
Can you? Is there a way you can actually feel the rhythm? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Vibrations. And counting also. Didn't that
Yes,
help?
counting.
Oh, you count. Oh, I see. So you can.
Sometimes, but sometimes I forgot to count. But I had memorized the dance. I knew how to start, and once I got started, then I was okay.
Well, considering the fact that some people have hearing and they're lousy dancers, there's no reason why somebody who doesn't have hearing can't dance. I mean, I tend to think that could work both ways. Huh? What would you say to other young people who are hearing impaired or who are deaf about becoming involved in theater? What does it do for you? Since you were fired once and saw the light.
Well, for the deaf people in West Side Story, before, sometimes I didn't show up. I would tell them, okay, come on. I would explain my experience that you could be fired. And they thought, oh, no, and that won't happen to me. So I told them, you have to show up. It's very important for us to be there because it's like the real world. It's like if you're at a job and you don't show up, you're going to get fired. So they learned how to be responsible. I learned a lot about being responsible. The same as being an adult. And we had to work very hard every day. So I realized that it was important to be responsible, how to be responsible, and how to be people to depend on me, and how to become independent.
Does it improve the way in which you communicate with others outside of the theater? Does it open up worlds to, because you've been in this environment, make it different for when you're among other people?
It's different, yes. For example, when I have to go buy food at the mall, if my parents aren't there and they don't know sign and I see the person there, I'm trying to think, what do I do? So I figured it out. I use my sidekick or a piece of paper, and I write it down and I communicate that way.
Now, you're the role that you played. You said you were the interpreter in there. You were. Give that to me. Is that a yes?
Yes.
That's a yes.
It's like a knock on the door.
Oh, okay, yes, okay. I get those all the time from people I don't want to hear from, but I'm glad it's a yes. So give me your experience. Tell me your experience about, because you actually are hearing impaired, but you're in both worlds, correct?
Yes.
Yes, there we go, yes. So tell me about your experience in being involved in theater and how it further helps your communication or bridges to understanding both worlds.
Well, for me, theater is not my top choice in life later, but I want to go into like a public speaking sort of career. And with that said, theater has really helped me to open up, and I've learned how to be deaf and hearing and integrate both worlds so that when I go out there, I'm not awkward about who I am. I know that I'm both.
And you're doing both right now.
Yeah.
You're speaking and doing everything you've said. This is not just I use my hands, but I just flail. You're actually you're actually using your hands and saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And being in West Side Story, I got fired too. a
Oh
long time ago.
wow. For what?
So coming back, I really learned the importance of teamwork. There were a lot of hours put into the show, and I resented that a lot of the time. But I learned that by all of our efforts, we were able to make this a great show, Broadway material, and I'm just really proud that I was able to be involved.
Super. And now we go to the man without whom we wouldn't have a show because everybody would be in the dark. So tell me what your experience is in being behind the scenes, but seeing it all take place in front of you. What does it mean for you to be involved in the theater?
Really, I like being involved. I really enjoy watching this show. It's kind of like watching television for me because I'm in the back and I'm watching it and I get to see it over and over and over again, and I enjoy doing the lights.
And knowing also they can't do it without you. He's the most important guy in the show here.
Yes.
Yeah. Now tell me.
I think
Yeah,
so.
you think so. That's it. That's okay. We know that. We know that they're all there playing around, but we know who's really important. The you didn't get fired, did you?
No.
Okay, very good. Very good. Never. You didn't get fired.
No, but
Game close?
no, there have been days where I've been like kicked out of a rehearsal.
Really? For what? Well, I won't go into that. All right. Now, you are all accustomed to being around people who are hearing impaired or deaf and who are not. Give me your sense, because you're mentioning the mall where you go and where people do not know and where you may not be able to communicate. Give me your sense of how the world at large appreciates or doesn't the condition of people who have limited hearing or no hearing at all. How hostile or how welcoming, how understanding is the world at large?
In terms of how they treat
Yes,
deaf
people who are,
population?
yes.
Well, in observing the population in our school, because we have a large deaf population at our school, a lot of the time, the people who don't understand the culture, like we in the drama program, we're infused with the deaf culture and we're with them all the time, so we know how, to sign with them and how to speak and communicate with them. But for people who aren't part of the program, I find a lot of the times they look at the deaf community and they just don't understand it. It's like so foreign to them that a lot of the time they don't even want to bother with it because because signing isn't easy. Communicating with someone who is deaf or hard of hearing is not something that anyone can just do like off the bat. They have to really take time and effort, and a lot of times people, they just don't want to do the work. And so they see the deaf community and they say, well, I can't communicate with this person, so I can't talk to them. Oh well, And that's really starting to change because of our program and because of the shows that we put on. I've noticed after doing like High School Musical and Sign, people are starting to say, whoa, sign language is really cool. And I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, I thought in seeing a show in sign language that I wouldn't like it, I wouldn't understand it, and that all this blah would be really weird, but it makes me want to learn it and makes me want to communicate with the deaf population more and hard of hearing population more.
So there's fear on the part of people. How do you find when you go to a mall, okay, or as you said, or you go to a store, or you're ordering dinner or something in a restaurant, what's the response of people?
Well, a lot of the time, people see a deaf person, and if they have a hearing friend or something, and they mean to talk to us, they're talking to somebody else. It's really rude. Many of us can read lips. We understand. We're not dumb. And one of the mottos of the deaf community is deaf, not dumb. And we want people to understand that we can't hear, but we're smart enough, same as you.
Deaf, not dumb. That's
Deaf,
a very
not dumb.
important thing to remember, isn't it? Wow. You were going to say
Yes.
something? Gang member, you're going to say something?
Well, before I got involved in the play, when I was a freshman, when I was in middle school, when I'd go out, I felt shy. I didn't want to meet hearing people because I didn't think they'd really want to get to know me. I felt very awkward. And then I decided that I wasn't going to use sign language when I was out because people might make fun of me, and I didn't want to use my signing when I go out. When we were in middle school together, we wouldn't sign at all when we were out in public because we were shy, we felt embarrassed. Then later, when I got into high school and I saw the theater and I got involved in the theater, I thought, wow, this is really who I am. And it changed me a lot, and I thought, I'm going to use my sign language anywhere I'm at. And so now I don't feel shy at all. I feel very empowered by this program. And I don't care what other people think about me anymore. I don't care if they think I'm stupid or not. I feel very empowered because of what I've done here.
Do you ever pretend that You're a deaf person and you have to sign?
I do not pretend that
No,
I'm
you
a
don't.
deaf person. I do sign a lot. I love to talk to Swanee and to Giovanna and to Michelle and to all the deaf kids in our program.
What's the difference about communicating with them as opposed to using your mouth?
I don't use my mouth. I use my hands.
Well, I know, yeah.
It's very physical. I use my hands, and
Do you say or communicate in a different way? Has this opened up a different part of
it
your...
has. You use a lot of expression, and because of the program, I've actually decided to also become an interpreter when I am out of school, because I just like Helene, I fell in love with the language, so it's very cool. It's very cool that
How do you say it's very cool in sign
it's
language?
very cool.
Do that again.
Very cool.
Very cool.
It's very cool because back then I would have never thought to talk to them or to communicate with them, and I was ignorant to what deaf culture was, and now I know I have all this information, and I know that they're just like me, and I can talk to them, and they can talk to me, and we have lots in common.
What is it about deaf culture that we haven't said? Because I've heard the word culture used, and I usually think of something beyond just words when I hear culture. What is it beyond just language or using your hands?
Okay.
Whoops,
I'll
we got
go.
a big conversation going here right
Okay.
now.
Well, for one thing,
Okay. Deaf culture is different than hearing people. Like, for example, it's the same. People are the same. But how we communicate, it's different because hearing people, they speak and their expression is in their voice, not on their face. But in sign language, our expression is with our whole body. It's different in that regard. It's
Also-
different.
Also, there was one time we were walking on the street, and normally hearing people, they just walk right by you. I mean, they don't stop to say, "Hi, how are you?" Nobody does that. So we were just walking the street. There's this lady who knows sign language. She stopped and started talking to us. I think deaf people are much more friendly.
Friendly.
Yeah.
Well, on that happy note,
Also,
we're going to have to... sorry.
deaf people.
We're going to have to, okay, I just want this very quickly because, because we have to we actually have to say goodbye at this moment. I don't want to cut
Okay, deaf
anybody
people
off.
are more clear, I think.
Deaf people are
They're
more
not
clear.
shy. Hearing people can often be very shy in how they speak.
Okay.
But deaf people are very blunt and very clear.
Okay, but we're very clear also. I got the message. We have to say goodbye. Regrettably, I want to thank all of you. Would you also, all of you, sign goodbye in this? Because I'm going to do it in verbally, and we'll try to get the camera to pull back and say goodbye. That's it, very well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Until next time, for all of us at Teen Talk, this is Stephen Goldstein. Good day.